and my children are the branches, and my grandson is the leaves, you know. And everything that is in my mum is in me.
Exactly.
And now what I do is I make sure that I represent my mum's legacy and those before her, you know, in the way that she would like me to do it. So, you know, she's always there. And some days I'm like, what would you say, Mum, right now? You know, I say it out. Something may be happening. I say, Mum. And I could literally hear the words that she would say, you know. And I think I'm not letting my mum down. She's given us so much, you know. She's left us her wisdom, you know. So it's for me now to continue that legacy, you know, and then hand over that baton. I've got my grandson, you know, and so I've got to do the work with him, like what she did with us, you know, be there as a grandmother and, you know, and then make sure that he can be an example for our generation, you know. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. She's only gone in the flesh, but she's still here with us in the spirit, you know. Yeah.
And that's what's very important. My mum used to always say that to us as we were getting older, and she used to, like you say, mention about death and whatever. It's like, oh, Mum, stop doing that. You're not going to go nowhere for now. She goes, listen. She goes, you know, because she's very spiritual, and you know, and it's always, you know, two things are defined: the day you're born and the day you die. And she always used to say, you know, don't worry about me when I'm dead, because this body is just a vessel. The vessel get old and it can't carry me, but my spirit will live on. And I never used to understand that. And I used to think, what is she on about? Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, like mad talk or whatever. But it was only like as you get older and wiser, and you understand when you see. And I guess it's a thing where I saw when my mum and my aunt were in their 60s, and I think I was probably about 30 at the time. And they're in their 60s, because they're always in each other's house. And then Auntie would say goodbye to my mum, and then she'd go and kiss her. Then she'd lick her, you know, like hit her, and she goes, last lick, and then she's running out the door. And we're killing ourselves laughing. We're going, last lick, what's that all about, Mum? And then you see my mum running after her. But it's the game they used to play when they were young girls, which is like had. Yeah, it's like the equivalent of had. Like, so she'd touch her and she'd have to run and touch her back so that she don't get the last lick. And it's like, that's when it hit me when I was 30. It's like, do you know what? When you get old, your body may get old, but your mind is the age.
Absolutely.
When you were younger. So your body gets old, but your mind doesn't.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. The memories, because my mum had, she never got diagnosed, but what they would say was dementia. But I tell you what, I learned so much from my mum, during those last years. She went back. I used to have my pen and paper when my mum was talking, because I was getting a lot of history from her in that period, because she had the long term, you know, and she became quite verbally abusive, which I used to laugh at her. I said, Mum, this was what you were like, wasn't it? This is the real you coming out, isn't it? But I got so much information, and that's another thing with our parents, is that try and get some information from them, because I did like a family tree, and I was trying to find out about the ancestral, and I did a course, and then I was tracing it. But what was funny, all the information that I was trying to find out, my mum had it in the bag. So I found out when I opened the bag, it was in there, you know. And so that's another thing, get as much information. And, you know, I'm so grateful that I had my grandson was able to be able to have, you know, his great-grandmother for 13 years, for 12 years. Yeah, and because your history is very important as well, you know, because I can see why I'm the way I am, because I know about, you know, the generations, and I know about my mum's mom and my mum's grandmother and great-grandmother. And, you know, my mum told me some stories about, there's some things she never spoke about because I think they were too painful, because that generation had experienced a lot of trauma, you know. I mean, she never spoke about my sister. The one time I asked her if she remembered who she was. She said yes, and she turned her face. And I just thought, that's trauma there. That's pain. She doesn't want to remember, you know. But when I used to show her my dad's picture, her face would light up. You know, I said, who's this? She said, they're not my husband. And then she would have that glow on her face, you know. So it's so important to honor and respect the elders. So important, you know, where we can, if we have that opportunity, because they're going, aren't they? Yeah. They're going, you know. They're going. Wow. Thank you.
Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation today. So thank you, Angela, for being my guest.
And thank you very much for listening to the Soul Diva Speaks podcast. That's all we have time for this week, but I look forward to introducing you to another amazing lady next week. So look out for the Soul Diva Speaks podcast next week, Tuesday, 11 a.m. BST UK time.